A member of parliament is more than just a random name that appears next to parties on your ballot. These are the people that get to represent your local community federally. Yesterday, I got to talk to Peter Julian, a 4-time elected member of parliament for New Westminster, British Columbia. Over the next week, I'm going to post various clips from this interview. I'm going to be upfront with you. When you interview a politician like Peter Julian, you ask a question, you get 2 minutes of how great the NDP is, they answer your question, and then another 2 minutes of how great the NDP is. So I've tried to cut just to the meat for these interviews. I do think that Peter Julian is a really good MP. There's a reason why he's been voted in 4 times and probably will be voted in a 5th time. If you're more of a fan of the Liberals or the Green Party, just watch these videos and think of Peter Julian as an expert on federal politics. He's been involved in politics since he's 14 years old, so he probably knows his stuff. So let's start off. Let's talk about electoral reform. There's a huge push in this election for anyone but conservatives. What does that say about a system where people are voting strategically against one party?
I think it's fair to say we need a new system, a system that's based on a proportional vote. That's something the NDP's proposed. Other parties are supporting that as well. And by changing the voting system, then what we can do is make sure every vote counts for every party in every election. But the only way we can change the electoral system is by getting rid of Stephen Harper. So Stephen Harper, in a very real sense, is a block to a whole bunch of things. High levels of student debt, an electoral system that's not fair, and a government that I think is pretty out of control and feels pretty entitled.
So if not first past the post, what does this version of voting look like? What would a ballot look like, and how would this vote be calculated?
Well, a proportional representation means that you vote for a local representative so that the buck can stop with him or her, but your vote also counts as part of a broader pool of votes across the country. And so there are other members of parliament that are elected on the basis of whoever a person has voted for as part of a broader pool of voters. So the vote counts twice.
They wouldn't have an area, they'd be like extra MPs brought in?
Yeah. They're extra MPs that represent how people have chosen to vote across the country, whether they've voted NDP or Green or something else. And so because of that, your vote counts twice. Okay. And that's a system that we sorely need to bring in. But we can't do it if we continue to have a conservative government.
It's true. So when you came into office, that was in 2004, am I correct?
Yeah.
The Prime Minister at that time was Paul Martin.
Yes, this is his last term. Yeah.
And so you did, it was 3 minority governments in a row and then a majority government. What was the difference that you guys saw when the Conservative Party came in as a majority government?
Well, I think the minority governments, whether they're Liberal or Conservative, they're the same. I think they run roughshod over people. But the reality is, whether it's Liberal or Conservative, in a minority government situation, they do have to work more closely with members of the opposition. When it's a majority, we've seen this whether it's a Liberal majority or a Conservative majority, what they tend to do is just run roughshod over Canadians. So we saw that with the former Liberal government eliminating the housing program. With Mr. Harper, we've seen it in a number of different ways as well. So a minority parliament, which is what happens when you have proportional representation, can be a very good thing because it pushes the political parties to work together.
What do you think of proportional representation? I'm honestly a fan of it, and hopefully this is our last election with first past the post. Thanks for watching.